Okay, this is the elder again, coming to you with another video. And I don't like repeating myself, but like I said, let me say once again that this is just my opinion, and nothing I say can be proven. Uh, this is all my way I see the human race as a whole. Not the white, not the black, not the Chinese, not the Mexican. I see the human race like this. And I'm an elder because it has nothing to do with wisdom. It has to do with my age. Now, to continue with the rabbit hole, a couple more things come to mind when it comes to why the human race is in this rabbit hole and why we won't be able to get out of it. And that is, it's a stretch, but it's a tension. A lot of people do a lot of wild, stupid, crazy things, hurtful things, heinous things just for attention. I mean, they crave attention. I've seen stories about these serial killers. They go to prison. And lo and behold, not too long after, here come 4, 5, or 6 women who want to marry the serial killers. Now, what is that about? Is that about attention? Are they in love with the serial killer? Or is he handsome? Does he have a lot of money? But here comes 4 or 5 ladies, because the serial killers are generally male. Here come 4 or 5 or 6 ladies who want to marry the serial killers. Doesn't make any sense, but maybe makes sense to them. And then you have, as far as crime is concerned, you have what they call the copycats. Some guy blows up a building. He's on the run. The police are looking for him. He's blown up half a building. And here comes somebody and say, well, he blew up a building. I want to blow up a building too. Let me blow up a building. And the police call those kind of people copycats. One person does something heinous, and there are people who say, well, I want to do it. And he's not going to get all the attention. I want some attention too. So the police have to go after a person who just saw something evil being done and decide that they want to do it for the attention, and I guess to be called a copycat, which doesn't make any sense. Now, I want to talk now about things that human beings value themselves by. And it gets a little crazy sometimes, but we have a tendency to look up to other human beings, and some people who feel themselves entitled, they like to look down on other human beings. So what's the top of my list? Like I said, make your own list. What's the top of my list that seem to make human beings valuable nowadays? Well, believe it or not, is hair. Hair. Several years ago, they made a musical called Hair, and it tells you the importance people place on hair. I mean, the length of the hair, the color of the hair, the texture of the hair, the style of the hair, all makes you important in one way or another. I don't know anything about the royal family. I'm not into that. But from what I understand, a couple of months ago, one of the ladies in the royal family, she changed her hair color from brunette to blonde and back to brunette again. Now, there are a lot of things that make the news. A lot of things. People are, at that time, there was a war going on. People are hungry. People are starving. People are fighting for one thing or another. But one of the things that made the news was she changed her hair color. I mean, is that important? Well, I guess to a lot of people it was important, because she changed her hair color. And that made the news. Now, let me say this one thing. I'm just going to say one thing. I'm going to leave it. Black men, be mindful of the way you do your hair. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, you figure that out. But that's hair. But hair, in the last 100 years or so, hair has become a thing, I guess. And the only reason I can think of it become a thing, because I suppose once upon a time in history, if you had a really nice head of hair, that may have meant that you were healthy overall. Maybe your hair was a sign that you had good health. I don't know. That's just me making that up. I don't know. Another thing on this list is beauty. Beauty. How good looking are you? People who are considered good looking by Hollywood standards are looked up to, as opposed to people who are considered ugly, which I don't like to use that word, but I guess you have to in this content. But people who are beautiful, They are generally accepted. I remember seeing this wasn't a video. This was a news item. This was years ago. This guy in India, I think he was a plastic surgeon. But anyway, he had noticed during his practice that a lot of the young Indian girls were coming in to change the complexion of their skin. They wanted to be lighter. Now, I don't know anything about Indian culture, but like a lot of cultures, not just Indian, the lighter you are, the more people look up to you because supposedly you're getting closer to white. So the lighter you are, the more people look up to you. I mean, I kind of covered a little bit of that back when I was talking about race. And it just has to do with the melanin in your skin. But in India during this time, these young women were coming in and trying to change the melanin in their skin so they would look lighter or fairer. And he was a little worried about that. But what can you do? That they want to look like the Hollywood stars or the Bollywood stars. Okay. Another thing on my list is clothes. People judge you oftentimes by the clothes you wear. And I remember from history years ago, only people of royal birth were allowed to wear purple. I mean, you had to be a royal birth. I guess you could wear it, but you had to be a royal birth to wear purple. Well, and here recently, well, not too recent because it was some years ago, I remember when Air Jordans first came out. I mean, there were long lines to get a pair of Air Jordans. Several young men were murdered over the Air Jordan. It's a shoe, folks. You can't eat it. It's a shoe. But people were going gaga over Air Jordans. Now, I don't have anything against Michael Jordan. I mean, he made some money off of it. Can't blame him. But if you had a pair of Air Jordans, you were somebody. If you didn't have a pair of Air Jordans, you were nobody. But they look at it like that. The clothes. I mean, shoes. I saw a commercial just the other day for a lady's handbag. I can't say how much that commercial cost. I'm just taking a guess, but I'm going to say it was a $500,000 commercial or about a lady's handbag. It's a handbag. But I guess if you're a lady and you want to be stylish and fashionable, you'll spend $800 for that particular handbag. And I know that some of them cost a whole lot more than that and some of them cost less than that, but it's a handbag. But it's almost as if you got that handbag, that determines your value as a human being. So clothes or fashion has a tendency to determine our worth as a human being, which is kind of fickle, but what can you say? Now, another thing, if you can sing, if you can dance, if you can rap, if you can play basketball or football, then people have a tendency to look up to you. I mean, let's face it, it's when it comes to basketball, it's a game. It's a game people play for fun. But let's face it, some basketball players, most of them, they're very wealthy. They get paid to play that game if they're good at it. I mean, if you have the talent to do it, well, yeah, do it. But I don't know how they think that a person who plays basketball is more valuable than a person who doesn't play basketball. But that's the way it is. I look at Kanye West. Now, I don't have anything against Kanye West. I think I heard one of his songs in his whole career. But people looked up to him to a point where he became interested in running for president of the United States. He's a rapper. He raps a song here and there. And he makes a lot of money doing it. Now, whether that qualifies him to be president of the United States or not, I don't know. But he ran. But let's face it, look at Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was an actor. He became president. I don't know, I can't judge whether he was good or bad at it, but and he was just an actor. I mean, so Kanye West thought since he raps and songs, he would become president, and Ronald Reagan was an actor and he did become president. So people look up to you if you can do those kind of things. Now, there are a couple of professions that I kind of look up to, and this is my own opinion. I have a tendency to look up to scientists. Now, why do I look up to scientists? Well, they're trying to figure out how the world works. We human beings would probably be a lot better off if we knew how the world works. So let's face it, a few thousand years ago when lightning struck and thunder sound, people thought that was the gods being angry. Well, science came along and told us that ain't got nothing to do with God being angry. That's just the weather. That's all it is. It's the weather. So I admire scientists for opening our eyes and telling us things aren't like the old superstitions. Teachers. I admire teachers. Why do I admire teachers? Well, they're trying to get the young people ready for the next world, for how to deal with the world, how to be successful, how to get the basics. Somebody has to do that. Otherwise, we would all be idiots, I guess you can say. And my last thing about I admire doctors. Why do I admire doctors? Well, they're trying to keep us alive and they're trying to keep us healthy. Nothing wrong with that. I admire that. You can't help the world if you're not healthy and alive. So in addition to that, they are the ones who are trying to discover what makes us ill in the first place. Well, you have to admire that. They're trying to help us live a healthy life. So my producer has told me once again that I'm approaching 10 minutes. So I'm going to end this video. Stay curious, and I will see you in the next one.